رجعنا لكم
We are back to you, and perhaps out of the sense of sadness, we also condole the family of Brother Tamer in Bahira and Major Ahmad Galal. It's a sad day in the full sense of the word, but it is not going to break our strong will. Sometimes the economy may open horizon for hope, and I think Dr. Salah Goda, whom I welcome today. What is the economic situation at present, and whether it is going to open the door for hope or for despair? Pain or hope? Pain or hope? We will go out of pain and will go to hope. The picture through the 368 days of the rule of Morsi, those were the worst 368 days in the history of Egypt economically. These were the worst 368. We were in a deteriorating economic situation in 1967. The present situation is much more worse than the present. It's because of bad performance. Did he want the right path and he committed a mistake? The reality is that he wanted the bad way, and he has done this in a perfect way. Is it always their habit to go in the wrong path? In killing and in terrorism, their objective is always mischief. Muslim Brotherhood were established in the year 1928. Why not 27 or 20 or 26? Hassan al-Banna was there for quite a long time. I would like to get the answer for Saad Zaghloul passed away 1923. Before Saad Zaghloul, the crescent and the cross were united together. The Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar used to visit the cathedral. Now, from 28, the year 1928 to 32, this is a period of vacuum. Brotherhood appeared. The Communist Party also appeared. Same happened after the death of Nasr in 1970. Anwar Sadat came to power in the same year. But people could not understand the personality of Sadat except in the speech he delivered at the People's Assembly. So this was a period of vacuum. After that, the terrorist groups which appeared in 1972, those are the periods of vacuum. What is the relationship? What is the secret of the relationship of enmity between Muslim Brotherhood and the former president Hosni Mubarak? Yeah, there were some common interests. Hosni Mubarak ruled for 3 decades. starting from the 12th of October 1982 until the day he was deposed. The 11th of February was the killing of Hassan al-Banna. The 11th of February was the day of the death of Hassan al-Banna. So this day has a certain meaning. Hosni Mubarak was keen to remain in power. Was he the best and the most efficient person to remain in power? No. Certainly no. He had there were some other people who were ready to present concessions to the West. He wanted to tell the West that he is there to protect their interests. There is a concept, a wrong concept, Americans and democracy, Americans and the Muslim Brotherhood take a personality, a caricature. Mr. Sayyid Abu al-Arabi, which was acted by Hani Ramzi. So this is a caricature personality or character. Those are the Americans and the Muslim Brotherhood. They raise a slogan of defending democracy, and all what they are doing is dictatorial in nature. So, a free man cannot work or act or work with a servant. Why wasn't them or weren't them doing well with Mandela? في 79 لما قام الثوري وعمل محاكمات ثوريه وقطع رقاب العالم هناك، ايه الامريكان قاموا والغرب
The Americans
وصلوا الحال بعد اسبوعين ثلاثه لايه؟
after 2 or 3 weeks said our soldiers and people in the embassy, please get them out. The agreement in 1980 was that he sent them airplanes, and the same thing he did with Bashar al-Assad. You can do whatever you want.
مش الاخ اوباما
بس اقتصاديا بقى هنا حضرتك
والاخ بوش قبل كده
Obama and Bush, they said Iran and we will do and the axis of evil. Did they do anything? No, they didn't. Pakistan before Korea, and it's banned and atomic. Then this man went, Abdul Qadir Khan, and he said we did it, and we're doing our experiment in the ocean. Was he able to do anything? Do whatever it's right for you, and go on. So you're saying that what's taking place, all is that what is taking place, as long as you're taking your decision, you can go on.
بس من الممكن جدا ان تكون الخطوره في انهم بيعتمدوا على الطابور الخامس اللي عندنا، يعني الغرب.
Maybe they're counting on the fifth column, and the two revolutions, the one the 25th of January, and I'm calling it a revolution, on Sunday the 30th of June 2013. They resulted in two things, and forget about the time and the stand and the exhaustion, and a lot of people died and the martyrs, everything is great, but you got two benefits. That you would have remained, waited a lot. You exposed the Muslim Brotherhood, and a lot of people were sympathetic with them because the image that was exposed that they're torturing us, and we're people of God, and they treated you for a year, 1 year, and everybody couldn't live. This is number one. So you saw them in the first revolution. The second revolution, exposed a lot of masks on a lot of people. We were deceived. Muhammad Baradi is on top of which. His acting is pretending. So this was an international employee of high rank, a diplomatic, but not a man of state, not a man of politics. Even his maneuvers are a failure. This is like a fifth grader's maneuver. They will even do it. My daughter, Shuru, a fifth grader, can do it in a more professionalism. He can't even act properly. This is like silly acting. So that's one. That's one of the benefits of the 30th of June. You would have remained deceived for the whole world, but they got exposed from the first sign. The important file is the economic file. You're saying that the picture is a call of optimism. People are talking about the American aid and saying that the value is not big, but or the amount is not big, but the importance is the investments, and the world considers you that economic, and cutting that is the reflections, the negative reflections. Some people say it doesn't have any. I agree. A year ago we had, or a year and a half, Obama said, if Obama said, I'm going to cut the aid, the Jews are going to shoot at him, and you said the Israelis, not the Jews. I'm repeating it, a year and a half. If Obama said, I'm going to cut the aid, they're not going to shoot him, they're going to beat him on his head with slippers and shoes. Let's see about the aid. The aid that they keep on talking about. The last aid Egypt received was April 1967, and then Egypt starting from 48, America gave Egypt an aid because of the war, and Israel in 15th of May 48 went and started establishing the state. They gave an aid to Egypt to compensate the losses that were there, timidly. The last one we received was April 1967, $40 million, 10 million Egyptian pounds back then, and it came in the form of wheat. Then Nasr came in 15th of May 1967. He had Abu Sweir's conference, and he said he sat with Mushir Amir, and he said we're going to close we're going until the 1973, and there was the disengagement was January 1974 until Nixon came here in October 74, before the second disengagement in December 74. Nixon brought two ships of white flour, and we said the Americans are coming and we're going to be rich, and then it stopped. There was a very famous song for that. Then, after the peace agreement was signed in 79, the genius of Anwar Sadat, that he got aid from the Americans, it was 2.3, 1.2 military, 1.1 economic, and $1.5 billion for the State of Israel. Starting from the 15th of August 1948, you receive 95% of the aid of Israel. So the 1.2 military aid is in the form of weapons, because your weapon is Russian and methodological, the Russian methodology, and we want to change the system and know everything. So the 1.1 economic aid, you received $500 million cash, and the rest in goods, in the form of goods, wheat and other things, and we kept on having that until 2002. In 2002, they washed their hands of Mubarak, and you know that these are the beginnings.
انا بس هستأذنك اقول للساده المشاهدين بنستقبل
I'm telling the audience we receive your calls on the economic situation. If you have any questions, and you can call, and Dr. Salah Gouda, go on.
ابتدوا يغسلوا ايديهم. حسني مبارك خلص موضوع الخليج.
So Mubarak ended the Gulf, the first Gulf War, Iraq and Kuwait, and
سنة 90 وخلصت الحرب وعملوا مساعدات.
in the 90s, and then they started to end up with Mubarak, and then they said since 2002 until 2012 we're going to decrease 10% of the aid. By 2012, within 10 years, the economic aid would be finished. That's why the economic aid now is $200 million. And the military aid is $1.1 billion. When we wanted to take it in 79 and 80 and 81 and 82, we will have 30 years from 83 to 2013 to compare. In 83, the military aid was $1.1 billion for the army. How much did the army take from the state in the budget of the state? 1.8. So it was 72% of the budget. Now the army is 4.5 billion, and it's just 8%. The budget in 83 was $15 billion, and the 1.1 was 9%. Now it is above 100 billion, so it's just 1% of the budget. The price of F-16 back then was $5 million. So 1.1 billion get you 48 aircrafts if you got just getting aircrafts. Now it's 125, it gets you 8. The GDP back then, now and then, the GDP gives the aid 0.5%. So the question is, if he says, well, I'll cut it, they're going to shoot him. First, the 1.1 military aid, 7,500 million is spare parts for old weapons and small factories and medium factories in the military industries. They work in that. This is their business for us and for Jordan and Sudan for old weapons. If you cancel the aid, they shut down in the morning. And they can't handle that in the economic situation in America. The rest, the 4.5, you get it as training for their consultants. You get training, you get people to train from here or there. So the consultation and the hotels and everybody. So they take it. So they take it back. What is, and you have to buy weapons from him. They give it to you and they say, take this weapon that you buy to create a system, and you have from $5 to $6 billion Egypt pay that you buy weapons. So, and you buy the spare parts in the later years with my money. They force you to trade in wheat. You cannot buy wheat. Sometimes we buy from Russia. Egypt consumes 15 million tons of wheat. 7 or 7.5 is grown here, and you import the rest. 5 or 6 million tons at least is, which is 90%, is from the United States. 10% is from the external market. How much do you buy it for? The average is $300. So $2.5 billion annually you buy it. So they're benefiting. This is not it. This is not the whole thing. We're importing. Can I take a phone call? Yes.
معانا مطيع.
We have Matia from Qalibaya.
مساء الخير مطيع. مطيع ولا مطيع؟
Mutia?
مطيع.
Matia?
مطيع. ايوه. طب انت مطيع فعلا يا استاذ مطيع؟
Are you Mutia? Yes, I am.
اتفضل يا استاذ مطيع. اهلا بحضرتك.
I would like to give my condolences first to the martyrs, and
الباقي في حياتك
I pray for mercy for them. I'm not going to dwell on you. And
دكتور صلاح جودة. دكتور صلاح جودة.
And Dr. Salah Gouda is a respectable person, and don't get me wrong, the economic schools are plenty. I'm a bank, I'm a manager of a bank, so you need diversity of the professors. The country has a lot of people. There are different schools of thought, and just to enrich the discussion and the dialogue, so we feel that there are a lot of figures and symbols. And the person who's speaking is perfect, but diversity is demanded. And another point that I'm taking a chance through your channel, and the Minister of Endowment, I request him, I demand, I want him to change this ikhwanization in the mosques. All the departments, starting from the local directorates, the local offices, your message has been delivered. Please, because this is a big problem for us. So please, through Mehwar, I know that Mehwar has very good influence, to call or for the Minister of Endowment, because they're doing the mosques now is a center, it's like their camp, they do all their work there. So I pray for you, I want the Minister of Endowment to move. Thank you, Mr. Mutia. Minister of Endowment is not just Mr. Mutia, it's a lot of people are calling. We'll get back, we'll go to Khalid from Helwan. Disconnected. Disconnected. Let's hear from Dr. Salah. Egypt is importing from the United States of America. The trade size is from 35 to 40 billion dollars. If I'm buying one mug from you, if I'm buying 100, is it the same price? If it's 1,000, if it's a million, what if it's 1 billion? What if it's 40 billion? I get discount, let's say 10%. So we have $4 billion. They give us 1.3, of which, so we need an extra 2.7. Me at discount, I buy things, I have vehicles and spare parts and wheat. I get a discount, 10%. 5%, so we have $2 billion. They give us 1.3, and they enslave us with that, so we have 0.7. More importantly, they give us the weapons now, 3 or 4 steps behind Israel, right? Or do they give you the same as Israel? No, of course it's less. So they know everything about your weapons or not. Yes. They stopped 2 things that you have: the Arab Authority for Industrialization and the military factories. So you don't have these industry, and they manufacture refrigerators now and washing machines, and they don't get into the spare parts of weapons. In 1973, you were developing the Russian weapons, the MiG-17 and MiG-21. You developed in them, and after the war, they took that from you. The third thing, and the most important, if I diversified Chinese weapons, Russian, North Korea, Pakistan, India, Japan, I'll get weapons more with lower prices and different technology, and you can have you recalculate and you start manufacture things here or update and develop. Egypt is the face of Africa and the back of Europe. You have 1 million people behind you to 52 African states that import medium weaponry that you can manufacture a lot of which inside your factories. All of that you're deprived of, all of that. And you're also deprived of the political pressure in every political issue that you have. It's enough that you went and the simplest thing is the former president, when they said in Syria we'll do that, withdraw the ambassador. You were going with the whole, you were waiting for them to react, and then you say, I'm going to do it. It doesn't make sense. Egypt is a big country, and Egypt is not something because of the history and stuff. Egypt has a very heavy weight. 60% of the trade of the world passes by Egypt. The Minister of Defense a while said that they don't have influence over Egypt, and this upsets them. This pressure will remain for 2 weeks. Who's going to scream first? With all the research centers that is talking now, and it's very hard that Egypt screams of pain, because there is a person on top of the armed forces that I believe their description of him, he has a very national decision, and he is insistent on the national independence. You change the map that has been processed for 10 years, at least 10 years. People who have been planning, and they saw the sweetness of the victory. They saw a taste of victory. 368 days. You were about having a resolution to the Suez Canal development development of the zone of Suez Canal. You're about to sign that, and you would have saved a problem in the head of Israel and the United States of America, Palestinian and Hamas and all of that. You would have solved it for free. He can't see now, and you wasted an opportunity that who are the Brotherhood who, after how much time will come back, not to come to power, to be in the street and work with people, their people in the street and in the municipality and everywhere? How long time do they need to return? A lot of time. We have Ms. Noura from Cairo.
مدام نورة من القاهرة، مساء الخير. أهلا بحضرتك، اتفضلي فندم.
I don't know a lot about economics, but I have a question. How did we live? So what we heard about Mubarak, that he stole and our money. How did we live? The electricity that was not cut, the water that was there. How did we live? What's the difference between this and that? I have Yahya from Sinai.
أستاذ يحيى مساء الخير. يحيى سيناء يبدو أن الخط طار. أحمد من القاهرة.
I have Ahmed from Cairo.
طيب سمير في القليوبية.
Samir from Qalibiya.
سمير. أهلا وسهلا أستاذ سمير.
I want to say a word for Dr. Salah Gouda.
اتفضل يا أستاذ سمير، معاك الدكتور صلاح.
When I was a soldier, I'm now in a principal in a school, but when I was a soldier in the army, I was in one of the important departments, and
هو الخط قطع لحسن يتصوروا إن في مصادرة ولا حاجة يا جماعة.
did he get disconnected? Call Samir again, because he was...
تبان الصورة إن هو إحنا اللي قطعنا الخط.
It seems like we disconnected him, you know. No, I think maybe he was working on something. You know. Hossam from Cairo.
أهلا بيك. بس افتكر
I have 4 national projects that I want to declare.
اقتصادي
Are you an economist?
كويس.
I'm a graduate from Faculty of Commerce.
تقولها لنا؟
Can you tell us to them? Yes. I want you to,
طيب لا، عشان الوقت بسرعه تقول
as
لنا
an
مشروع
action
كذا
plan, to
وكذا
record it
وكذا.
as an action plan. Could you name them quickly, please?
استاذ حسام، ده انتوا عندكم عيب بقى في لما
I think there's a technical
نرجع
problem.
الاستاذ
في ضغط على التليفونات كتير فبيقطع الخط.
الاستاذه الفضيله كانت بتقول احنا عايشين
We had a question, how did we live at the time of Mubarak? This is a very good question. Mubarak ruled us for 3 decades, 30 years. The money that entered Egypt from grants and aids at this point of time from the United States of America and all the other are the Gulf countries and from all the European countries exceed 2.5 trillion Egyptian pounds. Exceed 2.5 trillion Egyptian pounds. That's number one. Number two, he left and he with 888 billion pounds of debt and around 216 billion of debt, external debt. 216. So you're talking about 1800, 1180, 1 trillion point 2, and it jumped. Of course it jumped. I'm not saying it's good. Morsi, on Saturday, the debt was 1100 billion and he left it 1400, so it increased 365 billion. So every day 1 billion pounds, even in Fridays and national holidays, the debt increased 1 billion Egyptian pounds in the internal debt. The external debt, he came in power, it was 33 and he gave it to us 45 billion dollars. Those who chant for Morsi, listen to that, 12 billion dollars on 12 months, $1 billion every month, 4 billion, a quarter of $1 billion. So every day 1 billion pounds again, Egyptian pounds. Every hour Egypt borrowed 60 million Egyptian pounds, and every minute 1 million Egyptian pounds is has borrowed from inside and outside. Our meeting is 1 hour, so it's 60 million pounds. So if we divide this number on everybody who carries the Egyptian nationality, 91 million people, every person is indebted with 17,650 Egyptian pounds. Those who are abroad saying, I don't have anything to do with that. So we divide it on the inside. You have 21,000, 21.5 thousand, even the one who's born today.
ازاي بقى يا دكتور، ده سؤالي الاخير، في وسط الحاله دي بتقول لي انا متفائل
And you say, I'm optimistic. I'm frustrated by what you said. You have a lot of resources that are not used. I take 10,000, I get 10,000 pounds a month. And I drink alcohol for 3,000 pounds, and I gamble with 2,000, and I buy tobacco for 2,000, and I newspapers for 1,500. So I have 1.5 thousand. So I wish it at 10,000. You get alcohol for 3,000 Egyptian pounds. So that's the point. So you have resources. It's the management is the civilization. Because economics is about smart management and stupid resources is much, much better than stupid management and smart resources. How can we have that? Egypt and Japan. Egypt has stupid management and very smart and very intelligent resources. Japan has the opposite. I'll give you examples. Egypt is 1 million kilometers, square kilometers. Japan is 300. Japan is 172. Egypt is on the ranked third in monuments. Japan is 0. The third in the mineral wealth. Japan 0. Egypt has 2 passages like the Mecca and Medina. You have 2 passages. One is the exit of the Jews and the the Sacred Family, Virgin Mary. Japan doesn't have this. Egypt doesn't have earthquakes every day. Japan on a daily basis because it's the first on top of the world in the earthquake belt. Egypt is million kilometers, square kilometers, 238 fedans, and 38 is agriculture, and with their water, and the water is ready for them. Since Yusuf Boutros Ghali ignore all of that, what they said, this is against logic. 32 million, you can grow them today. Egypt is the face of Africa. You have 1 billion people to export to. Japan doesn't have that. You have the Suez Canal, 162 kilometers long. Panama is 22 kilometers. You get 5.5 or 6 billion, they get 25 or 26. You serve 60% of the world trade, he serves 3 countries. You have resources. You have the almanac of the whole year. They don't have these things. You have 11 natural lakes. They don't have this. You have the biggest artificial lake in the world, the high dam. You have material that is not in the world. The glass sand in the middle of Sinai, and it's 98.5% purification, which is not in Japan. Is that there is urgent news of arresting Muhammad Badia, the guide, in one of the apartments of Rabaa. Now we're talking about smart management now. This is the head of the dissension.
يا سيدي الفاضل عشان بس انا قصدي خدت بال حضرتك احتمال يكون في انباء اخرى سعيده الليله يبقى اداره ذكيه يبقى انا جاي لابس كده
That's why I'm wearing pink today.
الاداره الذكيه يا استاذنا الفاضل هي
The smart management is much better than smart resources. Smart resources, it's confirmed now that the head of the snake, the head of the dissension by Muhammad Badi, I'll give you a historical in the alphabetics of working. It's banned to have. The only case was done with Mahdi Akif and with money. He was born in 28. Mahdi Akif, and the Brotherhood, and Mubarak is born in 28 after 85 years. So we're in the same circle. It's the same vicious circle. That's just a tip about history. That's why I'm optimistic. Do we add to that optimism? You don't have a state that can live on begging for the whole time. We begged at the time of Mubarak, and he was very thick-skinned and beggars. And the next one was worse. The Arab states, and when the Saudi Minister of Foreign Affairs, they said, don't worry, the AIDS and Prince Saud al-Faisal, very respectable man and much appreciated, and the King of Saudi Arabia, and the man of the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, people like Diamond. Do I make use of that, or stand and get because I'm used to begging and sleep or dormant, say you are great people and you support it. I want two things of you. First, investments, but I should have an investment plan first. Unfortunately, throughout the 30 years and the last depressing year, we said we want investments from the Arabs, and they come and they say, what do you want to invest in? We don't have an investment map. So, because at the time of Mubarak and the time of Morsi, it was a day by day. We opened the shop today and we wait for customers to come. They didn't have a plan for after tomorrow. And the evidence was when there was an earthquake in 1991, the building fell, Aktham, and the prime minister was Dr. Atif Siddi back then. They told him, we take a day off tomorrow. The day was, the whole country is dancing. Mubarak was traveling, was off. He said, I can't make this decision. The president is not here. So they don't have a plan. They don't know what can be done next day. There's a question that people ask. If Dr. Salah was a minister of finance, can he apply something? The second question, why don't they put him in that place? If you became a minister of finance in a government that doesn't have the decision, that's the problem. You have two things to be able, so that these things turn into reality, not just words. You need two things. You need a kiosk under your house for a year to be able to execute, and you have to have the stamp in your hand. After the call of Major General Abdel Fattah Osman, he confirmed the arrest of Muhammad Badia, the Supreme Guide of Muslim Brotherhood, in an apartment in Nasr City. But we're awaiting the rest. Assam al-Aryan, Beltagi, and Safwat Hijazi. I'm waiting for these three. These were the ones that were highlighted. I'm going to tell you something. Outside economics a little bit. Today, the government, if they tell the Muslim Brotherhood, there is this fixed tone and the reconciliation and embrace. This is nonsense. If you're either a fifth column or an ignorant person. To calm things down in the state. I'm coming to you with a pistol and you're saying, thank you, Dr. Salah, let's talk. I'll give you 2 bullets in your head, and then what? The show is over. I'm dead. This is a culture of listening, not looking. Did you see what he said? We say that you don't see what they said, you hear it. We're in South Africa. Mandela came and did reconciliation. No, he never did that. I swear to God, he never did that. And those who say this are people who are ignorant. When Mandela came, he said, I'm going to have reconciliation, but there are conditions. First, those who committed a crime need to admit and say who assisted you. And third, you get the acquittal of the person who has the right. Then the court and the judge needs to sentence him according to the law. Number 5, according to the laws of the reconciliation. Then we start to number 6, if he returned to the same crime within any period of time until he's dead, they get both punishments, both sentences. Dr. Salah Gouda, I would like to thank you a lot. The conditions of the reconciliation is to admit that the owner of the right of blood, the families of the martyrs, those people who the father of Anis Nasr and Islam al-Aziz and Ahmad Abdul-Ati and Ibrahim Nasr and Mawad Hussein and Assam Nabil and Afifi and Muhammad and Mahmoud and Yaqub and Ismail Said and Salah. All of these names are martyrs today, and we pray for their families, but their blood is not wasted, is not going to go to waste. And the piece of news was very quick, capturing the snake, the head of the snake. And I believe that to the coming hours, you're going to wake up to very good pieces of news. This is not a promise, but I believe there are leaders in this country. They're going to take the right of those, or we die like them. What I want to say is that today, as we're losing martyrs, we have heroes, and we have and those new Tartars can never beat Egypt. And as for counting and depending on foreigners and what they called crusaders, I think they will be failed. Today was a day we needed better performance. It could be because of the confusion and the shock, because we're human beings, and we could be confused. The crime was very difficult today, and it was very atrocious. I want to add something. I wish the government, it's 33 ministers and the president and the consultants, advisors, only one person is working, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and the rest are just standing. They need to take strong decisions. The people, you said go to the 28th, in the 28th of June, they did. The 30th, they did. The 3rd of July, they did. On the 26th of July, they did. You told them to bring government. They need to see a number of economic decisions to refresh the people. People are tired. Can you tell me a group of economic decisions? 1, 2, 3, 4. Minimum wages 1,200, maximum 30,000 for the public sector. All the advisors and the consultants need to be sacked, including the former Minister of Finance. Hired 128 consultants. One of them gets 600,000 Egyptian pounds a month.
اقول لك تاني حرف يا ريت تمام ادي كده ادي مستند الحاجه الثانيه اوضح حد اكتر.
Yeah, I should have a maximum for a margin of profit, 200% of profit. The maximum margin should not exceed 25%. Those are the basics. The mines and quarries existing in Egypt. There was the 1 millim, the 1 pound was 1,000 millim. Now the mineral wealth is being sold at this unit, and that people above the age of 60 get about 24 billion Egyptian pound. The assistant chief editor of Al-Masa, Mr. Khalid. Good morning, Mr. Khalid. It is quite clear that you have been a witness. We received the information for the public security, and in coordination with the governorate of Cairo. There was some officers from the national security as well, and we got the information about the whereabouts of Muhammad Badia, the supreme guide of the Muslim Brotherhood. We have been able to specify the target and all the information. Was he alone? There was some other person who is being investigated. one of his relatives or one who belonged to the Muslim Brotherhood. There was no resistance and was taken to an unknown place for interrogation to start or investigation to start.
تم تصوير العمليه ولا لا؟
Have this operation been filmed or every operation is subject to this process in order to ensure that things were done properly. We have seen Khairat Shatir when he was arrested, Hazem Salah Abu Ismail when he was arrested. No one said that there was something wrong done to him. Are there any other good news in the future? There are 178 persons from the leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood who were arrested recently. People are waiting for the arrest of some other leaders. The Ministry of the Interior is very keen that arresting somebody should not affect the arrest of another person. For example, when we say that this person has been arrested, that would encourage another person who is wanted to escape. They will leave their place before we get to them. We can get them through their telephone calls. So there are other people who can be arrested quickly, but they are left for the time being. Thank you very much. I'm coming to the prescription you submitted. I'm really happy to be with you because this is a very historic day. Hisham Talat Mustafa was accused of what? Provocating the killing of that lady. Now, the guide should be accused of instigating murder. The 25th who were killed today he should bear the accusation. There is a principle which says that the provocator is like the person who committed the crime himself. There are many items on the prescription: maximum and minimum wage, maximum limit for profit margin. And there is one most important thing for this government to undertake. Number one, securitization of debts, securitization of debts of the factories. We have more than 4,000 factories and touristic villages which have been closed because of the circumstances. 90% of these are unable to pay their debts. We need to appraise this situation. If the bank can take some shareholdings inside the company in return for the debts. Mr. Mamdouh, welcome. I'd like to condole the families of the martyrs, and by the grace of Allah, the right will be restored. I'd like to congratulate the Egyptian people for the successful operation of arresting Muhammad Badi'. The colleagues in the channel here, they got in touch with me as I tried to reach you several times, 36 times. I like very much what Dr. Salah, who is like a computer in remembering figures.
انا نفسي دلوقتي لو انا رئيس وزراء
If I am a prime minister, I may decide to appoint him as a minister of finance.
الراجل ده بصراحه
That
يعني
man indeed is some good asset to the country,
الثانيه في نقطه عايز
a credit to the country. There is another point when I have been following the situation in Egypt lately.
40000 جنسيه الفلسطينيه او اللي بتوع
Hamas affiliates have been given nationality or were naturalized. That is indeed a decision need to be taken regarding those Palestinians who were given Egyptian nationality. Indonesia
طالع بيشتم من قلب مصر بيشتم في سياده الفريق
were insulting Major General Sisi.
اكبر هربان في مصر اهو موجود اهوت
Yeah, Mohammed Badi' has been arrested, as you see,
على التواصل الاجتماعي بسرعه
and his pictures were published on the media quickly.
واضح انها هي
It is a new picture of him.
بنقلق من ان الصوره ما تبقاش ده اللي
قناه يا استاذ نصر
Mr. Nasr,
الخبر حضرتك
the first channel that announced this news is Mehwar. Mehwar network is going to get more visibility in the coming few days. We get the credibility from your transmission.
اشكرك
Thank you very much, Mr. Mamdouh. And it is always good. I have seen it, and it is documented with a picture. In Jeddah,
الناس واضح انها بتهني بعض
people are felicitating each others,
يفتح صدر
and that would open the heart of the Egyptians. So people may be optimistic. The day following the address or the speech of Field Marshal Sisi, the stock exchange earned 1.5 billion. On the 14th of August, the EGX fell down. Egyptians sold out their shareholdings while foreigners bought new shareholdings. So they have the information that it is the story will be ended. It is a mutual fund, and they have their advisors for economic analysis.
دي هتتكسر قريب
Do you believe that this wave of terrorism is going to be broken down? Azazi and Sheikh Al-Qusi reaffirmed this piece of news that it will be broken altogether, and people will felicitate each other or congratulate each other. It is a necklace that will be broken down.
ويتراجع بمقدار انت ما تتقدم
And they will retreat with the same magnitude that you proceed forward.
انه لم يتم حل جماعه الاخوان المسلمين حتى الان يعني
Yeah, the Muslim Brotherhood has not been dissolved so far. This is one piece of news. We have General Abdel Fattah Asma, assistant to the Minister of the Interior for Media. Yeah, first of all, we would like to express our condolences, and we also congratulate you for arresting Mohammed Badi'.
المرشد يكون يهون عن
And I think that arresting the Supreme Guide of the Muslim Brotherhood would consort the feelings of the Egyptian people. There were some other information available about his hiding in one of the places in eastern Cairo, that is Nasr city, and we've been able to define the whereabouts, and he was arrested.
هل هي دي الصور فعلا ولا
Is this a recent? Is this a picture of arresting him? Yes.
يعني اذا دي اول
This is the first picture of his arrest. We had some doubts that that our channel was the first channel to publish this. Yeah. People will rest tonight with some comfort, and all the security organizations will be working in concert, and the integrated system of security will continue to function well. Has Yusuf Talat been arrested with him? Yeah, someone else was arrested. That is that person Yusuf Talat from the media committee of the Muslim Brotherhood? Yes, indeed. Was this expected to be done tonight? After the legal writs issued by the Prosecutor General to arrest them, we have been able to form task forces to follow them and pursue their whereabouts. They will fall one after the other.
اخرى ست اللواء من كلام حضرتك.
Yeah, and I can smell another recent operation, God willing. Thank you, General Abdel Fattah Osman. And there are some good news because General Abdel Fattah Osman said that by the morning there will be some other news. Madame Negla, welcome. Thank you very much. I would like to express my thanks to place on record my condolences to the families, bereaved families of the martyrs, and I would like to express thanks to the army and to the police force, and I seek refuge in Allah to help us get rid of this evil movement. Many hearts of fathers and mothers have their hearted feelings, the pain of losing their sons. This is the first time that I talk to a channel, and I thank you very much. Thank you very much.
يعني خلصت شهادتك لان انا كنت حريص ان انا اسمعك للاخر.
I wanted to listen to you to the end if you finished. Thank you very much, Madam Mrs. Nagla, and she has been showing sympathy, and she has been deeply affected.
الشعبي ده اصبحت تقترب من الاجماع عند المصريين.
Yeah, there is a state of unanimity among the Egyptians that they do not want the Muslim Brotherhood movement, even if there are two enemies. And there is a case of demise or passing away. You may go and provide your condolences. This is the nature of the Egyptian people. MENA, since 7,000 years, united the two countries that had been existing inside Egypt. If you say I have another comment, Dr. Salah Gouda, thank you very much. And there is something that comforted our hearts, that is the arrest of Muhammad Badi'. the guide of the Muslim Brotherhood who have nothing to do with Islam and who are very criminal. I think what Abdel Fattah Osman said will make us expect good news by the morning of tomorrow. Thank you very much.